Hello, and welcome to the Politics Girl podcast. I'm your host, Lee McGowan. Let's get into it. Well, here we are. It's election day. I feel like that meme of the lady from Titanic. It's been 84 years. After this incredibly trying election season, we are finally here. We know this is a big day and you have a ton on your plate, so we're just going to do an abridged episode to tell you what to look out for and expect today and in the days and weeks to come. All right, let's get into it. Election Day episode. Now, if you haven't already voted, for goodness sakes, get out and do it. But if you have, make sure you are helping other people do the same by reminding them, driving them, or encouraging them to vote. We need everyone to make their voice heard in this election because we really need to bring these last 10 years, the destructive Trump years, to a close. And with everyone's help, that is exactly what we're going to do. Now, it is unlikely we will know who won the election tonight. And if you're someone who's worried about human rights and civil rights and workers' rights and healthcare, that's going to feel really frustrating and probably even scary because I anticipate it's going to be a bit of a mess moving forward, and we need to have patience and courage as we let this system work. Now, there is a possibility, and this is one that very few people have discussed because honestly, I think we all have PTSD from the 2000 election and the 2016 and the 2020 election that we don't want to get our hopes up or count on anything. But it is possible, especially considering that most recent poll in Iowa, that Kamala Harris just wins this thing outright. That the majority of American voters just give Donald Trump the Heisman. And it doesn't matter how much of a tantrum he and his MAGA supporters and their enablers have, they simply won't be able to sell the idea that they won because it will be such a blowout. Now, if the world were just and fair, or we elected our president by popular vote, or we didn't have endless right-wing media lying to half the population, that would be the outcome. And while I believe we can still hope that it might be, I think we should plan for alternatives. We need to understand that the Trump team has been priming their audience for a contested election since the very beginning. They know they don't have the majority sentiment in the country, and despite the fact they still won't admit he lost the 2020 election, they know he did. But they also know that sowing the big lie has allowed them to change voting laws and purge voter rolls and cause election interference, all in the name of safety. And it's these behaviors that have got them about as close as possible to retaking power, despite the fact that they won't get the most votes. The Republicans aren't trying to win. They are trying to make sure the Democrats lose. Instead of running a good ground game or reaching out to new voters, they have been stoking grievance and lies and hate while messing with the election infrastructure itself and telling their base that the Democrats are the ones that are cheating. The Republican base is now primed to reject the results of the election and distrust the word of anyone who isn't them. So while American elections are still among the most transparent of all of our government processes, with opportunities for partisan observers to be involved at every level, counting and canvassing of both mail-in and election day ballots, giving Republicans and Democrats ample opportunity to search for any evidence of fraud, I think we can safely say that MAGA leaders and the right-wing media ecosystem will claim victory even if and when they lose. As democracy's hero, election lawyer Mark Elias, who has been fighting all of these election interference cases around the country for years and is a key part of the Harris-Walz legal team after winning every case representing the Democrats during the 2020 Stop the Steal lawsuit, says, the Trump plan is this. Kamala Harris will win the 2024 election. Donald Trump will lie about it. His lawyers will file frivolous lawsuits. They will lose those lawsuits, and Republicans will spend the next 4 years concocting even more crazy conspiracy theories. That is what we should expect. Jeffrey Clark, the lawyer who Donald Trump tried to make the attorney general when he was trying to get the U.S. Justice Department to say the election was stolen in 2020, even though it wasn't, was just speaking on Steve Bannon's War Room podcast. Steve Bannon, who just got out of jail. And he was saying this exact thing, that Democrats are going to steal the election, and they plan to do it using some sort of billionaire donor money. The projection that these two men put out in this conversation, these two men who are both currently under indictment, talking about their candidate who is currently out on bail, was absolutely extraordinary, especially since they are the party with the billionaires trying to buy, help, and tip the election that they want in their favor. People like Elon Musk taking over their ground game and Peter Thiel taking over their polling. The whole conversation, which MAGA listeners can get in many variations on every right-wing podcast or media network right now, is completely evidence-free. So when you hear about the Democratic cheating, everywhere from Fox News to Ben Shapiro to Charlie Kirk, know it is just projection. And it is clear that this is not the behavior of a group of people who think they're going to win, but the behavior of a group of people who are priming their audience to think they didn't lose. Again. But as Robert Reich said, the Trump tricks won't work if we know they are coming. So here's what you need to be prepared for. Trump is going to prematurely declare victory before all the votes are counted. This is a lot like saying you won the Super Bowl at halftime and not at all how it works. Any American election expert will tell you that the Republicans always take an early lead as the results start coming in. This is what's called the red mirage. Votes are counted by precinct, and Democrats tend to live in more densely populated urban precincts, while Republicans tend to live in less populated rural ones. So it just takes longer to count the votes in precincts that have more people. Reich uses the example of Georgia, with blue-leaning Fulton County having 300 times more people living in it than live in deep red Glasscock County. So if Fulton County has 300 times more ballots to count, Glasscock County is going to finish counting their ballots first, and they will have their results up sooner. Democrats are also more likely to vote by mail, and mail-in ballots take longer to count. First, they have to be processed, which means doing things like verifying voter signatures and physically preparing the ballots to be counted. And then those processing practices vary from state to state. While 43 states allow election workers to begin processing before Election Day, 7 states require them to wait until Election Day. And while 12 states allow the counting to begin before Election Day, 24 states won't begin the process of counting mail-in ballots until the morning of November 5th, while 14 states won't allow any mail-in ballots to start counting until after the polls close. And counting mail-in ballots takes a long time because they have to verify the identity and eligibility of each ballot. Some states, like California, allow anyone to vote by mail, but other states require voters to provide a valid excuse to vote absentee, and that excuse has to be double-checked. So before any election official can count any mail-in ballot, they have to receive and process that ballot to confirm the voter's identity and their eligibility to vote. The states that allow ballots to be counted before Election Day can move forward with this process as the votes come in, but other states have to wait. If you vote in person, the election officials can confirm your identity and eligibility at the polling place, but it often takes longer to count and report results from absentee and mail-in ballots because the person isn't right in front of them. So because Democrats tend to live in more densely populated areas and vote more often by mail, the Republicans often take an early lead, the red mirage, and over the course of the evening, the results start moving towards Democrats. This is called the blue shift. It's not magic when the Democratic votes start to creep up. It's math. If we want safe and secure elections, which America has, we need to understand that things are going to take time. This is just how it works. In fact, when you hear a story about someone who has voted illegally, it's because the system was working and the person was caught. And it happens so rarely that it's like 0.001% of all votes. Nothing that could ever change an election. Which is why when election officials said that the 2020 election was the most secure election in American history, they were right. It was. A certain person just didn't like the results and decided to take us all down a rabbit hole as he tried to live in his own delusion. Donald Trump had no intention of accepting the 2020 election results, so he used the red mirage, which happens in every election, to act like what happened after was suspicious and calculated. He said things like, "We were winning by a lot, and then our wins kept getting mysteriously whittled away in secret." Except it wasn't in secret and it wasn't mysterious. He was just exploiting the red mirage, knowing states would end up counting Democratic votes after Republican votes because of population density and mail-in voting, which Democrats did in record numbers in 2020 because of the pandemic. Trump was doing exactly what Steve Bannon said he was going to do. In fact, there is an audio recording of Bannon on October 31st, 2020, before the election, saying he's just going to declare victory. That doesn't mean he's the winner. He's just going to say he's the winner. Trump's claim was that the votes counted earlier in the night, the ones from in-person voting, which Republicans were doing at far higher numbers than Democrats during the height of COVID, were somehow more important than the votes that were counted later. This was the entire basis of the big lie. As he said back in November 2020, we were getting ready to win. Frankly, we did win. And then they came in with all of these other votes. No, they just kept counting the votes. Again, you don't win the race if you're ahead in the middle. It's not over until you cross the finish line. So MAGA is planning to run the same playbook in 2024. To exploit the red mirage, but this time, after priming their audience that Democrats are going to cheat, that they're already winning, that it's going to be a blowout. They have been assisted in this messaging by people like Elon Musk on X, pushing absolutely unprecedented disinformation campaigns, right-wing media paid in many cases by Russian operatives to push their Dems are cheating and we are winning narrative, and right-wing billionaires like Peter Thiel funding poll after poll that's skewed to show them ahead. So I think we can count on Trump using the red mirage to claim victory before all the ballots have been counted. Count on his people claiming the Democrats are cheating as the blue shift starts, and count on the Electoral College to keep them in the game when they really should be out. But do not panic. Understand things will just take time. Despite the fact that Republicans are voting more by mail than they ever have, Democrats will still outperform Republicans in mail-in ballots. But these votes will take more time to process and count. Just like it will take more time to count the Travis County, Texas, home to Austin votes, than it will to count the Robert County, Texas votes, northwest of Amarillo. There are also a lot of registered Republicans voting this year who are not going to be voting for Trump. So you might see a lot of registered Republican votes coming in, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're voting for their party's candidate. I've been saying this all along, but I really do believe there's a new silent majority out there, and it's Republicans who know better than to vote for Trump again, but don't want to alienate themselves from their Republican friends and family, so they just aren't saying anything. Now, there's a lot of election propaganda out there, and I think we should count on it getting worse. We already have stories of immigrants voting multiple times, people destroying ballots, illegals trying to vote, and all of these stories have been debunked. But that doesn't mean they aren't making the rounds through the media or exploding on social media. The goal, of course, is to shake people's faith in the integrity of the presidential election itself. The Office of the Director of National Intelligence, the FBI, and the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency have all confirmed that a lot of these cheating stories are being manufactured and amplified by Russian actors and are part of Moscow's broader efforts to, quote, raise unfounded questions about the integrity of the U.S. elections and to stoke divisions among Americans, end quote. That is an official statement from the FBI. So we're really in the thick of it. But please know our elections really are secure, and the secretaries of state who are in charge of the elections in most states are very prepared for what's going to happen. They are telling us to expect a flood of disinformation all day, through the week, and probably in the months ahead. But our elections are safe. They will just take time. We need to be sure we count all the votes, so we can't be freaking out if we see things online. Do not be sharing things if you don't know if they're true or not. Understand results might be slow, but this counting process is something this country has been doing for hundreds of years, and we're quite good at it. But checking and verifying every vote is counted and legit takes time, and the results are only official when the state official reports them. So don't take anyone else's word for it. Not a politician, not a news network, no one until the state election officials certify the results. Also, expect multiple lawsuits to be filed. Now, let's talk about how all the TV networks are going to come into play here, what they're going to do to help democracy and what they're going to do to help cheat. Since we're hopefully coming to the end of mocking people with cats, today I would like to talk about my dog. I have a beautiful dog, a wonderful golden doodle named Chips, who is an absolute dream boy, and I think it would be fair to say that I'm close to being obsessed with him, and the feeling is mutual. He is my shadow, he goes everywhere with me, and I'm not kidding you when I tell you he loves Sundays for dogs. I had heard great things about Sundays, but my boy's a picky eater, so I wasn't sure he would take it. But often when he refuses to eat anything else, Sundays is what he'll have. Sundays for Dogs is a fresh dog food made from a short list of human-grade ingredients, co-founded by a practicing veterinarian who tests and formulates every version of each recipe. Sundays contains 90% meat, 10% superfoods, and 0% synthetic nutrients or artificial ingredients. And unlike other fresh dog foods, Sundays doesn't require refrigeration or preparation because of their air drying process, so you can just pour and serve. I go back and forth between the beef and the chicken because, like us, Chips gets bored if you offer him the same food every day. So if you and your dog want to try Sundays for Dogs, go to sundaysfordogs.com/politicsgirl and get 40% off your first order. That's sundaysfordogs.com/politicsgirl, or use the code politicsgirl at checkout for 40% off. Because I'm sure your dog is just as special to you as my dog is to me, and I would never steer you wrong when it comes to those doggos. sundaysfordogs.com/politicsgirl. I don't know about you, but with everything that's been going on, figuring out dinner is just not happening. Literally. I mean, I love a home-cooked meal, but planning and shopping for it, don't love that. And lately, I have no time to do it, which is why I love Marley Spoon. Marley Spoon isn't just a meal kit. They have put together the best tasting meals out there, and I'm not just saying that. Our family actually loves Marley Spoon. Every week you get to choose from over 100 recipes, from Cajun spiced chicken to vegan burrito bowls. There is something for everyone. Right now, they are rolling out their festive holiday-ready meals and desserts. Imagine treating your house to duck breast with sour cherry sauce, with crispy Persian rice, or warming up your mornings with holiday breakfast waffles and candied bacon. Plus, Marley Spoon's got a bunch of recipes adapted from Martha Stewart's 100th cookbook, so you can make your holiday meals extra special. These meals aren't hard to make, they're fun to choose, and they taste amazing. It feels like our family has tried almost every meal delivery kit, and Marley Spoon is such a cut above. And you can customize everything. Are you vegetarian? Do you have young kids? Do you like to eat low carb? They have all of it. And every recipe is reviewed by an in-house registered dietitian, so you know you're eating well. They even have an online market for pantry essentials like extra proteins, ready-to-heat options, snacks, basically anything you would need to make your weekly meals easy and delicious. So this holiday season, give the gift of great personalized food with Marley Spoon. Head to marleyspoon.com/offer/politicsgirl and use the code politicsgirl for up to 27 free meals. That's right, up to 27 free meals with Marley Spoon. One last time, that is marleyspoon.com/offer/politicsgirl for up to 27 free meals, and make sure you use my promo code politicsgirl so they know I sent you. Even if you think it's a bit overhyped, AI is suddenly everywhere, from self-driving cars to molecular medicine to business efficiency. If it's not in your industry yet, it's coming, fast. But AI needs a lot of speed and computing power. So how do you compete without costs spiraling out of control? Time to upgrade to the next generation of the cloud, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, or OCI. OCI is a blazing fast and secure platform for your infrastructure, database, application development, plus all your AI and machine learning workloads. OCI costs 50% less for compute and 80% less for networking, so you're saving a pile of money. Thousands of businesses have already upgraded to OCI, including MGM Resorts, Specialized Bikes, and Fireworks AI. Right now, Oracle is offering to cut your current cloud bill in half if you move to OCI. For new U.S. customers with minimum financial commitment, the offer ends December 31st, 2024. See if your company qualifies for this special offer at oracle.com/PGP. That's oracle.com/PGP. You know, life feels like it's constantly speeding up. And between the headlines, the daily grind, and just trying to keep up, it can all feel pretty overwhelming. And that's why I'm incredibly grateful for Calm. Calm is the #1 app for sleep and meditation, designed to give you the tools to calm your mind and change your life. It's honestly incredible. It's an app that meets you where you are, whether that's needing a bit of stress relief, helping you with sleep, or a moment just to breathe. They have everything: guided meditations, grounding exercises, and even sleep stories, which I personally love. There is something so comforting about drifting off to sleep with a story in the background. It just gives me instant permission to unwind. And Calm's not some one-size-fits-all app. It offers something for every moment and mood. They've got meditations to help with anxiety, boost focus, or build healthier habits, as well as calming music and nap meditations that can give you a quick boost in 28 minutes. Feeling overwhelmed? Calm has grounding exercises and short guided sessions that help you reset. They even have experts to talk to you to manage your relationships or grief or self-esteem. I actually use Calm every day. It puts all of these tools right in your pocket, helping you feel happier and healthier each day. So stress less, sleep more, and live better with Calm. For listeners of our show, Calm is offering an exclusive 40% off a Calm premium subscription at calm.com/politicsgirl. Go to calm.com/politicsgirl for 40% off unlimited access to Calm's entire library. That's calm.com/politicsgirl. Have you ever noticed with those big wireless providers, what you see is not what you get? Somewhere between signing up and receiving that first bill, that price you thought you were paying just keeps going up. With Mint Mobile, though, there are no surprises. When they say it's $15 a month when you buy a 3-month plan, they mean it. No gotchas, no hidden fees, just straightforward pricing. We've all dealt with those other wireless companies that add random fees or upcharge for things we didn't even understand. With Mint, there's none of that. You're saying goodbye to the overpriced plans and horrible monthly bills and all those gotcha fees. Mint Mobile gives you premium wireless starting at just $15 a month, with high-speed data, unlimited talk and text, all on the nation's largest 5G network. And the best part? You can use it on your own phone, bring your own number, and keep all your contacts. So if you're ready to ditch those overpriced wireless plans, then get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month. Go to mintmobile.com/politicsgirl. That's mintmobile.com/politicsgirl. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/politicsgirl. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details. And we're back. Now, while VP Harris has a number of ways to get to 270 electoral votes, and her campaign has built an incredibly strong ground game for the close elections in every swing state, Harris already has a strong early vote, as well as a way higher ceiling of support of people who could vote for her, including independents and former Republicans. It is a very wide map. While Trump is focused only on his base and has farmed out his ground game to outsiders who don't know what they're doing. Elon has been paying for it in the battleground states, and he's already being sued by poll workers who were mistreated and said they were tricked into working on his door-knocking campaign. Both campaigns have robust legal teams in place, but I will say that the Harris-Walz legal team is top-notch, while the Trump team is far less so. The Harris-Walz legal team has been preparing for this moment for years. As far as I understand, they have already drafted briefs for lawsuits in each individual state where they know the Trump team will file, and they are ready to go. They know Trump is preparing to declare victory without seeing results, but unlike 2020, this time they know it's coming. Honestly, one of the things I think we should take from this knowledge that Trump is planning to cheat is that he's panicking. They're not liking the numbers they're seeing in internal polling or early voting. They're not liking their dwindling rallies. They're not liking the amount of women or young people turning out to vote, so they're putting all their chips in on voter suppression and then preemptively declaring victory and then making us fight him in court. What we have to remember is that Donald Trump can say whatever he wants, but there is a process to counting our votes, and we are going to follow it. That just because you file a lawsuit doesn't mean it's real or you have any evidence to win that lawsuit. That the law and the facts are on our side, and we need to stay calm and pass on good information while these people flood the zone with lies. Trump thrives on chaos, so let's not give it to him. He can't just take the election, so don't feed into the panic that the Trump team will want you to feel. Today, they are hoping to suppress the vote. Moving forward, they're hoping to sow chaos. Don't help. TV networks are going to call the non-battleground states when the margin of victory is too large to be overcome by the amount of outstanding votes left to be counted. We would hope that TV networks and cable news outlets would wait to call battleground states until after the state official does, but we can't count on that because of Fox News or any other right-wing co-conspirator broadcaster might want to help Trump steal this election and preemptively declare victory for him. I think we can expect Trump, Elon, certain MAGA surrogates to just come out and declare victory early. We just need to stay calm and wait for the votes to truly be counted and the lawsuits to be sorted out. Voter protection lawyers have already won 16 lawsuits against Republican suppression efforts in October alone, so expect that to continue. No matter what we hear, bad actors will not be able to just refuse to certify the election. Certifying the election results are mandatory under American law. Election officials must tally the votes and let the public know who won. This isn't optional. The law requires it in every state. So any effort by Trump or his allies to interfere with the certification is going to ultimately fail, although we have to be patient because we might have to wait for it to make its way through the court. Any recount that someone wants to do of a certain county or a state, or if someone wants to contest an election, they will have to follow the legitimate rules as they are laid out. Election recounts and contested elections require the candidate to show, with actual evidence, which is where Donald Trump went wrong in 2020 because he had none, that the votes have been miscalculated. You can't just say there was fraud, despite what Rudy Giuliani and Jenna Ellis tried to do all those years ago. You have to prove it. We need to remember that a lot of this is smoke and mirrors. The Trump team is trying to give the illusion of fraud because it fuels the narrative they use to keep their base engaged and fired up and, of course, giving them money. This is why almost all of his 2020 court cases were thrown out, why any legitimate law firm wouldn't work with him. Not only because he doesn't pay his bills, but because he files lawsuits without evidence. He takes people to court so he can say he's in court fighting, but he doesn't actually have a case. And then the court gets his case and he loses. It's all great and powerful Oz stuff. His lawyer, Alina Habba, says every case Trump's been in this year has only made him stronger. But he lost every case he was involved in this year. He is currently out on bail after being found guilty of 34 felonies. He owes E. Jean Carroll over $80 million. He is not stronger. He is a loser. And they keep saying, don't touch that curtain. Don't look over there. Well, look over there. As far as Trump's secret plan with Mike Johnson, this idea that Mike Johnson is going to get to decide the election is wrong. The president of the Senate presides over the certification of the electoral votes, not the Speaker of the House. And it's also the hope that this election not only gets us a Kamala Harris presidency, but the Democrats win back the House in the process, which means the person presiding over the House during the certification would be Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries and not Republican leader Mike Johnson. The fact that Trump is even talking about a secret way to win also feels pretty indicative of the fact that he knows he needs tricks because the Republicans don't have the votes. We also need to remember that we now have something called the Electoral Count Reform Act, which was passed to tighten the safeguards around the certification of the election after all the shenanigans on January 6, 2021, when the Republican representatives started questioning the electoral counts from certain states. In the past, you only needed one member of the House and one member of the Senate for an objection. But the ECRA limits the grounds for objections and requires that any objection be signed onto by 1/5 of the House and 1/5 of the Senate before it can be heard. To avoid the pressure that was put on VP Pence, the ECRA makes it clear that a vice president's job in counting electoral votes is solely ministerial, that they have no power to reject the electors. Any objection must be done by 1/5 of the House and 1/5 of the Senate working together, not Ted Cruz and Marjorie Taylor Greene working together. And if you can get 1/5 of the House and 1/5 of the Senate to object to the electoral votes, the objectors would still need a majority in both chambers to sustain that objection. So the people are now far more protected from members of Congress disrupting the counting to unfairly undermine the public's confidence in the integrity of our elections than they were back in 2021. And while a member of Congress can be expelled with a 2/3 majority vote from their respective body once they are seated, there is no path for, say, the Speaker of the House to refuse to seat them. So Mike Johnson can't just refuse to seat the new Democratic members of Congress on January 3rd, hoping to control the results when the certification of the election happens on January 6th. Finally, we need to remember that the last time our presidential elections were interfered with, Donald Trump was president, and he did absolutely nothing to protect our votes or stop the actions of his allies that were causing the problems. You might remember the ringleader of many of the problems, Jim Jordan, getting a Presidential Medal of Freedom after January 6th. He didn't get that for representing the American people. He got that for taking one for Team Trump. This time, we have a president who is an absolute warrior for the Constitution and the rule of law in Joe Biden. I think we can safely expect he won't just sit idly by while bad actors attempt to steal an election. So I want you to go into this day feeling confident. I want you to vote. I want you to get your friends and family to vote. And then I need you to stay calm through today and in the weeks that follow. Again, we could just have a blowout. But I would say expect swing states to fluctuate. Understand that the red mirage and the blue shift are going to happen, and know that no matter what you hear, there are great teams in place to make sure our elections will be secure and the results will be properly certified. The most important thing you can do now is to help get people to the polls, to not spread misinformation, and to trust that the Democrats are ready for these lies. In America, we value our freedom to cast our vote and to have them counted. We do our job of turning out and casting our ballots, and then election officials have to do their job to count and certify our votes. While some politicians may try to claim victory and spread lies to sow doubt and seize power if they lose, at the end of the day, the results will be accurate and official, and the will of the people will ultimately prevail. I know it's stressful, but it's also hopeful, because I think we are heading into a season of reckoning, where those who would seek to undermine the great American experiment will finally meet their comeuppance. And frankly, it cannot happen soon enough. So happy Election Day, my friends. Thank you for caring enough about democracy to be here. Until next week, with great hope, PG out. The Politics Girl podcast is written and performed by me, Lee McGowan, in partnership with the Midas Media Network, and produced and edited by Happy Warrior Entertainment. All rights reserved.